Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Speak, Film, and Enter, a podcast where we review and rank movies. I'm Nate.
And I'm Dylan.
And I'm Adam.
Today, we are talking about Tom Cruise and
That's
Mission
the man.
Impossible
That's the
7,
movie.
Dead Reckoning, Part 1.
Mhm.
Just another Tom Cruise movie. You know it goes hard.
Yep, he doesn't stop.
No, he won't stop.
He's going to be running, doing stunts.
Lots of running, Tom
Lots of
Cruise. He
running.
gives the
That
people what they
guy-
want.
Yeah, he knows what the people want, and he
Right.
gives it to
And what they want is that perfect form.
them.
Well, and he's a little bit shorter, so it looks like he's running faster because his legs it's quicker. It's
Oh, he is running faster. He's Tom Cruise.
It's Tom Cruise.
Yes. So, Adam, your mission, should you choose to accept it,
Oh,
is to
nice.
tell us what Dead Reckoning Part 1 is about.
God,
You like that,
Dead
Dylan?
I loved it. This episode's off to a great start. We are capturing the energy of Mission Impossible. Adam, go, go, go.
Ethan Hunt and his IMF team must track down a dangerous weapon before it falls into the wrong hands.
Is that
it?
Is that it?
That's all it says.
Is that for Part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7?
That's all it says on
And that's
IMDb.
just for the whole franchise? I didn't want the plot for the whole franchise. I wanted this particular movie.
Let me see if I find it on IMDb.
There's
or
a
not
really
IMDb.
long one on Letterboxd.
Oh,
there?
well, it
It's
doesn't need to
okay.
be that long either.
Basically, they're after a key that controls this sentient AI thing that's about to take over the world. A little
Mhm.
Hal in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
they need a key to hopefully defeat the thing. They're not really sure, but the key
Mhm.
is important. So we got a whole 2-hour and 40-some minute movie about Tom Cruise and gang going after a key, which has 2 parts.
Yes. Mhm.
So very important.
Just like this movie, there are 2 parts.
Oh,
They
nice little
slide
parallel
Slide
there.
together
Mhm.
to make
Yep.
a key.
It's a cool looking key. Can't deny
It is
that.
neat. It is neat. It
And
lights up.
where I would like to start is just the villain, the AI villain, and just the concept that they're going with.
The
here.
entity.
The entity. Yeah, I think it's definitely, like you said, a little shout out to Hal, old school sci-fi, but also it's very much kind of modern with like the disinformation theme.
For sure.
And it fits so well with Mission Impossible because they're all about deception and illusion, and you think it's going this way, but it's actually going that way. I mean, what makes them great is those setups, and then the end where you're like, oh, I did not see that cut. That's over and over and over in this whole franchise. So now to have a villain that is a sentient, so it's not like, they've already ran through like some good villain performances by real actors, but like, where do you go? Are you going to bring another one in?
Yeah.
But I love this concept that it's an AI that just specializes in like misinformation and like getting like destroying truth. And so it's like it's very interesting. I'm already thinking like how are they going to outsmart this thing, or like how are they going to flip what it does on it? Like I'm already thinking that. I just thought the concept for the villain was good, was like a nice setup for a 2-part.
Yeah, and prescient. I mean, look at like the rise of AI stuff, Chat GPT being like a huge thing that's come out this year that's disrupting a lot of different industries, or at least like people are complaining about it. It's going to make art, or it's going to write novels and create movies, and look at the writer's strike that's currently happening. Like a lot of that stuff. So it has a macro and a micro feel to it that it's kind of infecting, for lack of a better word, every aspect of our lives and every aspect of this movie.
Yeah, it's really timely for sure. And that isn't to say that there is not a villain performance as well.
There's
Isai Morales playing Gabriel, who he's fine. This is kind of where I struggled the most with this movie, though, was that I'm such a big Sean Harris fan.
Yeah.
And my 2 favorite Mission Impossible movies are Rogue Nation, which is Part 5, and Fallout Part 6. And those are the 2 movies that Sean Harris is in.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I felt his absence quite a bit.
I did too.
Gabriel just wasn't as interesting to me as like the one man who has decided to serve the entity.
Yeah.
I didn't find that part of this movie to be that intriguing. They give him a little bit of a backstory with Ethan, which it didn't carry as much weight for me as I think they were hoping it would. And it might be carrying some weight for other people when they see this movie, but for me, that was kind of the one weak point in an otherwise highly entertaining new installment of probably my favorite, I mean, probably easily my favorite action franchise. I don't even like most action franchises, and I love these movies.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very standard. The setup, the structure of this movie, it's very standard. But what they talk about or like what is happening is really cool, and the villain in that situation is all really cool. But all of the structure of like, there's this guy who is serving the entity. It's like, all right, well, we've seen that before. There's nothing new going on. Whereas like with the Sean Harris movies that he's in, he's the smartest guy in the room, but there's so much deception. There's so much like covert stuff happening. You can't ever really figure it out. Where with him, with Isai, it's like right there, right in front of you the entire time. So it's just kind of like, oh, it feels very like.
Yeah, and it felt like, it felt like with Sean Harris, he's the villain who's always one step ahead and always like smarter than you. And now that part of the villain has gone to the entity, but then we need a human personification.
We need a henchman.
We need a henchman. And I agree with you, Nate. I felt like, the actor they brought in to do it and what he was going for, like it felt kind of out of the blue, and then it just felt like, oh, so he's the guy, and also he has this past with Ethan, and he's the new big bad guy now, and that's what it is. It didn't feel very well set up. It just kind of like clunk, like dropped him in there.
Yeah, it's a little shoehorny, but yeah.
And then also I felt a little bit in the middle, it felt a little bit repetitive with the like having to get the key, or like she takes the key, like, she pickpocketed him and she actually still has the key. I felt like they went back to that well. They went back to the pickpocket well like one too many times.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
It takes just a little too long for Hayley Atwell's character to kind of get on board, or for them to try to get her on board. And this is a really long movie. It's 163 minutes. It's definitely the longest one. Mm-hmm. And I think it easily could have been shorter. A lot of the length just comes from the action sequences being longer.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily like more of them.
Yeah.
I think. And then kind of that lull in the middle before we get to sort of the big extended train sequence that's from the trailer.
Yeah.
There's just kind of a moment there where it does feel a little bit like, okay, we've done this already. Do we have to do this again, or can we just move on?
Yeah. Can we just go forward?
That said, what do you guys think of Hayley Atwell, the primary new addition to the franchise?
I like her as an actress, and I think she was great. I think she was a good addition. I like that she's not just like already like a super spy. She gets dropped in as like, oh, I'm one
skill.
Yeah, I'm a thief, and I'm really fucking good at it, and I've gotten away from a lot of stuff. I've got a huge rap sheet, but like I don't kill people, and I
also don't even know how to drive.
Yeah, right, like stuff like that. So I thought that was kind of neat, kind of an interesting little twist. But I'm also like a huge Rebecca Ferguson fan, so when Ilsa is in this movie, like that's when I'm at full attention, waiting for her to like be this hardcore badass. And then the scenes that we get are a little bit more subdued, so that we can get more Hayley Atwell, and that's not my favorite. But that's not taking away from Hayley Atwell. So
yeah, the movie definitely struggles to balance the two kind of female leads. A little bit. Definitely wanted a little more Rebecca Ferguson, because she's a big reason. Her and Sean Harris are basically the two things that differentiate 5 and 6 for me from the entire rest of the franchise.
Yeah.
And we don't have Sean Harris, and Rebecca Ferguson's pulled back a little bit because of the addition of Hayley Atwell, who she's got great chemistry with Tom Cruise. I mean, I love the sequence at the airport.
Yep.
I think that's fantastic. The stuff on the train is just thrilling. So there are a lot of really great moments. They do play off. I mean, the car chase, I get a kick out of a car chase with somebody who doesn't know how to drive. I think that seems longer than it needs to be.
Yeah.
Agreed.
But it's fun. I mean, her rapport with Tom Cruise is really good, and it needs to be for it to kind of warrant the amount of screen time, because we also have Vanessa Kirby coming back in this movie as the White Widow, who is there anybody who's better at acting with her face than Vanessa Kirby?
Yeah.
I mean, my God, she has so many little, just like tiny little facial tics and reactions in this movie that are just brilliantly done. I think she's really good. And it's a long movie with a big cast that doesn't give everybody quite as much time to shine as I would have liked, but all the moments that people get, they definitely take advantage of.
Yeah, I would just say that, I agree. I think that in the role and how it was written, I think Hayley Atwell did really well. I think that I would agree that it felt like, just coming from Rebecca Ferguson as the other, like, she's such a badass, she's so well established, her, like, and so having a new character come in who kind of is just like a thief, it just kind of feels like small potatoes at first. It's a big it's hard to make that transition. And so but I think she did a fantastic job. And yeah, she definitely has the chemistry with Tom Cruise. And, I get why, it's interesting, but I think she did a really great job. Not easy role to fill.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. And then, action sequences, what were your favorites? The train sequence at the end.
The train is an all-timer, and just from like a kind of zigging and zagging aspect, the airport stuff I thought was great.
Yeah.
The stuff with the riddles was really fun and really funny, and it really took advantage of Simon Pegg really well. Like, that whole sequence just plays off the relationships and the chemistry of those three, like the main crew.
Yeah.
Simon Pegg, Tom Cruise, and Ving Rhames. It plays off the three of them so well. And then you just kind of drop Hayley Atwell in there. And, some other elements like the entity to just kind of throw them for a loop.
Yep.
And there are some other moving pieces going on in here. There are like 3 or 4 different parties kind of going for these keys, which makes the whole airport sequence just so entertaining to me.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the airport sequence felt like they were back in the groove. Like that when I was watching this, I'm like, oh yeah, we're back. This is a Mission Impossible movie. And then the middle happens where they kind of go back to the same well, and you're like, I kind of want more. But then it crescendos into that train sequence, which is long and epic and visually really cool. I mean, I saw this by myself up in Duluth when I got tickets, the only places that were open were in the front 2 rows. So
you got to experience this.
Yeah. And no one else was in those rows. No one wanted the first. So it was weird because going alone and then being that close, I really felt in it. But also this is the type of movie I would have liked to go to with a group. So seeing it alone might have taken away a little bit from the enjoyment, just because it's fun to geek out about the crazy shit on screen with someone else. But yeah, I would say the airport, the defusing the bomb thing, that was so well done, and they're really using Simon Pegg well in this. I thought that was. I mean, I think as a setup to a second movie, I trust Tom Cruise that he knows what he's doing, and it feels like it's setting up for a pretty awesome second part.
Yeah, for any parts that feel like any action sequences, I should say, that feel maybe even a little deficient, I know that it's going to bring the house in part 2. So whether or not, this, the train scene at the end, the very end of the train scene is your favorite versus the airport scene, doesn't really matter. It's going to be dwarfed, hopefully, by part 2. Yeah. I liked all of the train scene minus the end of it.
Okay.
So I guess all the action in this movie is nuts, and I think I mean the main thing we've seen is Tom Cruise going off a cliff with a motorbike,
which he did.
He did it 7 times, and he just nailed it every time. There's a little behind the scenes and stuff.
Yeah, there are more of those, and it's on just YouTube.
Wild. The man was just like, "Yeah, I'm going to do it." Gone. And just wrecked it every time, just killed it. So
they practiced for 2 years to do that, hang gliding / speed parachuting thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Nuts.
Yeah.
All right.
That is nuts.
Anything else, or you guys want to get into the stars?
So.
I guess the last thing, just kind of a knock on it. We had mentioned some of the stuff, but also I felt like the cop characters, the 2 cops who were kind of following around, they get a little tiresome. I'm sure there'll be a payoff there, but talk about doing the same thing in every single scene.
Yeah.
We get it. I don't know. That was a detriment.
I also just didn't even remember to bring them up talking about it now.
Well, exactly. But they're always in the background.
Yeah.
All right, now we can get to the stars.
Be right back with our star ratings.
One at a time or all at once?
All at once, I think. We all gave this the exact same score.
And that is a 3.5.
3.5 stars.
Yep.
For the whole
Very
group.
good.
It's a really good movie. I have it below. I have Rogue Nation and Fallout both as 4-star movies, and I don't think this is as good as either of those two. But this is still probably my third favorite Mission Impossible movie. It's kind of neck and neck with Ghost Protocol.
Okay.
But I don't like the end of Ghost Protocol, so I think I like this one a little bit more than.
Yeah.
I'm the opposite. I think I like Ghost Protocol a little more. This one's just so long. But again, it is just me seeing it by myself in the theater, and just there was like the 30 minutes kind of in the middle where I was like, oh my god, like we gotta, I don't know, something's gotta happen. But then they pick it up again. Tom Cruise knows what he's doing.
There's a couple points where, I mean, Mission Impossible is never really like funny necessarily, but there's a couple moments in this one where I was like, oh, okay. Like
I think they have been since kind of the reboot when Brad Bird came in to do Ghost Protocol. I think kind of 4 onward, they've taken advantage of Simon Pegg. They've had a few funny moments for sure.
There's some good banter.
I mean, I'm not talking banter. I'm talking about what happened on screen. At one point when Tom Cruise has the key and he's like, that I was laughing at that. And there was a whole group of guys next to me, like they went as a crew, and like they started laughing, and it was just like, okay, so there's a little like joviality here. Like it's pretty funny, even though if it's not meaning to be.
And some comedic moments during the car chase as well.
Yeah. So I just thought some of that stuff was a little corny, but it works.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily like bring it down. But yeah, like I said before, there's a lot of standard stuff, a lot of standard structure. Hopefully that gets kind of revamped for number 4, or for not number 4, for part 2. But yeah, 3.5.
Yeah,
definitely
I think
go see it.
It felt like a little bit of a disappointment, but that's only because the standard is so high for these. They're so entertaining. And so it's not like, maybe it didn't live up to what I'd hoped, but it was still a good time. I'm glad I saw it. I had a good time, even just by myself. I think if you got a group of people, definitely go see it. And last thing I'll say without, trying to spoil anything, but they set up kind of with the entity, like where it is and like what it's doing in a really interesting way where I find it very thought provoking. And like, I think it's a very interesting setup for the finale of like what he's going to have to do and like how they're going to have to like get there. Like very interesting. So I think they did a really good job of like establishing for the future, kind of like almost like in a Bond movie where they show you the evil lair early in the movie and you're like, oh, I can't wait for later when Bond comes in and like wrecks.
I'm pretty sure the entity is just a metaphor for streaming services for Tom Cruise.
Honestly, he probably was like, what do I hate the most?
Netflix.
Oh man.
Oh my god!
Got Adam with that one.
Netflix and fanatics, blind followers of those things, of those technologies.
Yeah, he's got a shrine to like.
Gotta go analog back to the movie theater.
Damn henchmen getting in my way.
No more digital. Everything's back to film.
Oh man!
All right. Well, this was fun.
There is one line in this movie that I really loved. So
drop it.
Oh, sorry, we're all over the place.
No, what's the line?
My internet cut out, so
I think Adam's hearing us at like weird times.
Dang it, that would have been great.
Different times, the internet's doing a thing. So
right.
I believe it's Dylan's turn to put a wrap on this.
Yeah, who's got the quote?
I have.
Dylan has the quote.
Good thing Adam doesn't have it.
Look at this. We're gonna come in just under 20 minutes. They said it couldn't be done. Our own little Mission Impossible. All right. The countdown is not helping.